couple of basic principles. And Robin's already talked about a lot of these. But focus on the positive stuff. Focus on what you can do. And in that vein, eliminate the I can't because, and it will not work because. And when I first started, that's all I could get from our staff that was there at the time. Well, why don't we do this? Well, we can't because. Well, how about if we did this instead? Well, that won't work because. Just take those out of your vocabulary. Say you're not allowed to talk about what you can't do. Let's talk about what we can do. So if we want to accomplish X, stop talking about the 500 reasons why we can't, and what, even if there's only 2 or 3, what are the things that we can do to move forward to accomplish that? Let go of the past. It didn't work in the past. That past is the past. Let's move forward. We're a place of solutions, not excuses. And actually, we've come up this year, we have our SPCA resolutions, and all of our staff have agreed to these at the beginning of the year, and it's the top 10 things that we're always going to focus on. And some of it is just, we're going to help one another, staff building teamwork among staff. Some of it is we're going to give a hearty thanks to everyone that comes in and donates. And the difference between a hearty thanks we talk about and a regular thanks is, well, there's actually stages, right? Someone comes in to donate something, and you just say, oh, you can put it over there. That's no. Thank you, you can just put it over there. No. Thank you, can I help you? And then take the stuff, put it over there. Still not even good enough. We want to go up there and say, thank you so much. Do you know how much this is going to help the animals? Let me take that for you. Let me put it over there. And we sit there and we watch, and every staff meeting that we have, we try to bring out some of the things that our staff has done that has been one of our resolutions, and we reward people at staff meetings for it. But it's always, always, always going the extra mile. Policies versus guidelines. This makes people uncomfortable, I think, sometimes. I'm not a big fan of policies because what I've seen with policies is they're generally used to tell people why you can't help them, and they're generally used to kill more animals. So we have guidelines. So when someone comes up and they want to do X, we don't say, oh, I'm sorry, no, you can't do X because it's against our policy. The minute you say policy, it puts someone on the defensive. For instance, we used to have, when I first started, a thing where people could come in and put a hold on an animal and decide really whether in the next 24 to 48 hours they wanted to take home that animal. We are an open admission shelter. We got 20, 40 animals maybe coming in the door every day, and giving someone the opportunity to think about it for 48 hours. I'm sorry, we just couldn't do that. So we could tell them, and this is the difference. When, some staff were saying, I'm sorry, they'll come in to adopt and want to put a hold on it, and they were saying, oh, sorry, we've changed our policy, so we can't do that anymore. And then everyone is up in arms. What do you mean? That's a stupid policy. I used to be able to do that. And instead, we told them why we did it. We said, well, we changed that policy, or we didn't even say policy. We said we no longer can put holds on animals because guess what? We're trying to save them all. And we don't want to have to euthanize an animal because of space. So we understand that you really want to do that. Unfortunately, right now, if you want to make that decision, you have to take that animal home now. Because we have animals and we don't want to have to euthanize animals. And you know what? People are like, oh, cool. We don't want you to kill an animal just because I've got to go decide for 48 hours. So they were really on board with it. The other thing that we have guidelines for is because we had so many policies that we were changing on a daily, like we would do something for maybe a couple weeks sometimes, and then figure out it didn't work and we were changing it again. Or we were making so many exceptions, and the staff became very uncomfortable. They said, every time you put a policy into place, all we do is have an exception after exception, and I can't keep up with it. So we have guidelines. We have guidelines of what is a good, focus to follow to help us deal with the public and explain to the public why we do things, but also to make sure it doesn't prevent us from adopting animals. Our atmosphere of empowerment, that's one of our resolutions. We want the staff to feel empowered. We want the staff to feel that they are part of increasing adoptions. And so we go out of our way to, recognize great work by the staff and what they've done. Going back to our solutions and no excuses, one time we were in our staff meeting and we had we had a little competition going with the front desk. They sort of came up with this as far as who could do more adoptions. And so we recognized the two people that did a lot of adoptions that week. And then there was a staff member that was sitting there, and she's like, well, they did the adoptions because this, and I had to do this. And I just stopped, and I said, hey, everyone, what's our resolutions? They're like, solutions, not excuses. You know, and we said, you know, you weren't at the desk. You could have helped people find animals. Why didn't you do that? And if you keep people focused on it, they feel empowered to increase the adoptions and to save animals with you. Keep it moving, change things up, do things different. Once you do the same thing over and over and over again, it gets boring, so you got to change it up. And as Robin talked about, a spirit of determination. There are going to be times when, just like I'm sure in a marathon, I'm assuming since I haven't run one, that you want to give up, that you're exhausted, and then you come up to a hill that you think you can't get up anymore. That happens on a daily basis. And you just have to be determined to get out of bed, and when you get into work and that hill's there when you think you have nothing left, you have to be determined to keep going and try to figure out what works to help you overcome a challenge.